Well, well, well. We got a bite. We got a bite. Ah, pesky, pesky eel. Anyway, 2 eels. What more could I want? I know. A sole and a bass. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? This bay normally is infested with silver eels like the one we had first, but then we've had these congers come in. Well, good day, everybody. I have arrived at Pevensey Bay. I'm fishing near the kiosk, if you know this mark, and it's low tide pretty much. The time is 5 to 12, and the plan for today, we've got a bit of surf running out there, so there might be a schoolie bass or 2 about. That's one hope. Even though it's daytime, I'm still going to try one rig out for the sole because there's been a few caught around here. I know really nighttime is my best bet, but hey, I'm out fishing. I'm going to have a go, give it a go. And thirdly, there's been a few hounds caught down here, so our third rig that's going out is going to have a big rag bait on there. I haven't got any peelers, so rag is my next bet, and that's going to go out maybe a bit later on when the tide comes in a little bit. But firstly, with this bit of surf running over low, I'm going to get some baits out, try and pick up one of them bass or maybe a sole. Anyway, in a minute we'll have a look at the baits and the rigs for the day. I haven't even got a rod set up yet, so I'm going to get cracking on that, and then we'll take a look at the tactics. Oh, the heavens just opened. I had to make a little bit of a run up the beach to get back in the shelter because I haven't got my coat on. Put the camera in the shelter, but you're back out of it now because it stopped raining again. So the next few hours have got rain forecast on and off. So I'll do my best to keep filming the action, but obviously I don't want my camera to get too wet. But anyway, maybe behind me you can see that bit of surf running. So I still need to get my reels on my rods, get my rigs out, get baited up, and then we'll take a look at what I've got going on today. See you in a minute. Right, so first rig choice of the day. This has got 1/0 hooks on it. This is the one I'm hoping might pick up a schoolie. It's a 2-hook clip down rig, and I've got 2-foot snoods on here, each with bait stops just above the above the hook, because obviously when we're clipping down our rig we need to use those bait stops to stop the bait sliding up. Oh, the rain's just started again. I might have to bring my camera in the tent. It's going to be a tough day today. It's blowing about 25 mile-an-hour winds. I'm slightly tucked out of them around here where I'm fishing because it's coming from south-southwest, and southwesterly winds, you get flat sea here, but it's just chopped it up a bit. Anyway, let me bring you back in the tent. Whoa! There we go, so we're up close and personal now. It's absolutely peeing it down. So let's take a look at this rig. So at the top of the rig body, size 1 swivel, and that's on 60-pound Zenon rig body. A couple of beads and a spring at the top there, help with my usual rig gum stops. We have the 2-foot snood with a 1/0 saltwater champion hook at the bottom, and the sequin and bead bait stop. Moving down to the middle of the rig body, we have a cascade swivel, again trapped between 2 beads and rig gum stops. Same snood, 2-foot. Just get this untangled. So that's 2-foot snood, same hook at the bottom. That's a 1/0 saltwater super match with the sequin and bead bait stop. And then at the bottom of the rig we have our imp and a 5-ounce grip. Hopefully that'll be enough to hold down here. If not, I've got some 6s with me and I can step it up later. But we're not fishing the marina today. I know I've done quite a few sessions down there recently. Thought it was time to give another venue a try, and that's why I've come down to Pevensey Bay. Anyway, we'll have a look at another rig in a minute, as well as the baits. So, baits for the day. In my small cool pack, I have 4 wraps of lug and an ice pack. And the lug are in dry newspaper with the cling film wrap to keep the air off them. So remember, we keep them dry to stop them rotting, and keeping the air off stops them rotting as well. So that helps them keep. And in my bigger bait pack, we have some beautiful wild dug rag. Look at those beauties. That's what I'm hoping. We might pick up a smooth hound on them, but I've got about 2/3 of a pound of those to go with the 4 wraps of lug. I'm planning, assuming the weather doesn't get much worse, to fish through till about high tide, which is at 5 to 6 tonight. But I'm going to see how the session goes, see how I'm feeling as we progress, Hopefully we'll land some fish, and hopefully this rain will ease off. It's supposed to in a couple of hours, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it does. So we've already seen the rig I've got for the bass. Let's take a look at the rig I'm going to use for some soul scratching. Soul searching, maybe. Maybe I can do a bit of that while I'm down here on the beach on my own in the torrential rain. So top of the rig, size 1 swivel, and immediately below that I have a size 6 swivel trapped between 2 microbeads and my rig gum stops, and that's to a 9 or 10 inch snood with a size, I think that's a size 6, let me just check. I'll put the packet, there we go, size 4. Size 4 saltwater super match. Because this is not a clip down rig, we don't have the bait stop there. Middle of the rig body, similar deal. We've got 9-10 inch snood with the size 4 super match, and then moving down the rig body we have the third hook, also above the weight, which is attached to the bottom of my rig with a fast link, and that's a 4-5, I think it's a 4 ounce hybrid lead there, so plain lead. I'm going to give the plain lead a go. If it's too choppy and that just moves around too much, I'll switch it over to a grip lead. But there we go. So one thing to note on this rig, I'll just show you with the top hook here. If I hold that snood parallel to the rig body, you can see there's just a little bit of a gap there between the hook and the swivel. And I like to leave just a bit of a gap because sometimes when I'm fishing for sole, I use maddies. So you need to leave a bit of wiggle room because the tails are going to dangle down below the hook, and you don't want the tails getting tangled around the swivel of the next snood. So when I'm making my rigs like this, I do tend to leave that little bit of breathing room, as I call it, so that if you've got baits dangling below the hook, they don't interfere with the swivel below. Would you believe it? The sun's just come out. This weather cannot make up its mind. Hopefully that means I'll be able to start filming outside the tent. The shelter's going to be my saviour today, I think. I'm really glad I've brought this down. But anyway, time to get some baits out into the water. Well, apologies for any wind noise. Like I say, it's blowing about a 25 mile an hour wind today, gusting up above that. But here we go, we've got 2 lug loaded on my bass rig. It's time to get these chucked out in the water. Wish me luck. Here we go, ready to whack them out. I've got my thummy on, so all is good. Oh, it is a breezy old day. Tide's already starting to come in. Set my mags, tighten them up just a little bit for my first cast. So it's on 5 now. There's a big old crosswind blowing. Check my drop length. And we're good to go. The baits are out. So the rods I'm using today, I've got my 2-piece competition performance rods, and on this one I've got my Pevensey tournament reel. The other one I've got my Daiwa 7HT. I'm going to chuck the sole rig out on this one first chuck, but I'll probably mix the rigs up a little bit because I like to change my rigs over when I'm fishing. But anyway, time to get some baits put on the sole rig. On each hook I'm going to stick about half a worm because we only want little baits for the sole. But yeah, it's going to be tough today. It certainly is blowing down here. So I'm hoping the sound is all right. I'll do my best when I'm editing it to try and chop the noise out. But anyway, the main thing is we're out fishing. So let's just take a look at my sole bait here. There you go. You can see that's a tiny bit of lug on that size 4 hook. So I'm going to get that chucked out, but not very far, because I'm just going to see if the sole are coming in over the sand as the tide's coming in. So I'll maybe stick this about 40 yards out and see how we get on there. So let's get this sole rig whacked out. I'm just going to walk a little bit down to my left, and we're going to chuck it out over here. Nice gentle flick. didn't even take my thumb off the spool. Just thumbed it all the way so it didn't fluff up on that nice gentle little flick. We'll see if that picks something up. Hopefully not an eel. You get too many eels down here for my liking. Right, let's see what the day brings. Well, it's time to get the bass rig reeled in and checked. Let's have a look, see if we've got anything on here. I had to reel in the sole rig and stick a grip lead on, because there's just too much crosswind today for that hybrid lead. To cope with it, just come around here a little bit nearer the camera. But I'm pretty sure there's nothing on here. Ideally, if I was fishing for, well, when I fish for schoolies, I'd prefer to use fresh outs than gutted lug. But it is what it is. We've got a small tide, so there's no chance of getting out pumping. I might try a fresh rag on here as well on the next chuck. Can't beat fresh bait, can you? Especially lovely wild dug rag. Oh, it feels like I'm just coming over the sandbar that's out there. Picked up a bit of weight. Got a little bit of rot on the line, like little bits of weedy rot. Nothing bad. Not like the horrendous glob we've been having earlier in the year. Right, I'm almost at the edge. We'll have a look, see if we got anything. I'm saying probably not, but you never know. No, nothing on it. So we get rebaited and get the baits back out. Look at that. Weed on the leader knot. Only a tiny bit, thankfully. Hopefully it won't get any worse as the tide floods. I'll make sure we'll get all that picked off. There we go. And the baits look untouched. Yeah, nothing showing any interest in them, but we'll get them rebaited, get them chucked back out. So I've rebaited. We've got a beautiful juicy fresh rag on the top bottom hook, and there we go, a lovely big black lug on the top. So I'll get these whacks back out, see if we can pick up Mr. Bass. Let's get them chucked out. Just get my drop length right there. After all, you've got to bend it to send it. There we go, out past the breaker there, where we want it to be. Hopefully where those bass are hunting free. Well, I'm just reeling in the sole rig. I had what looked like it was a little knock on it, but it could just be a bit of weed on the line getting caught in the surf. But it's been out a little while anyway, so it's time to check the baits. We'll see if we've got anything on here. Just feel like there's a little bit of weight here. We're nearly at the edge. Have we got anything, or is it just, no, nothing on there? Probably just the wind catching the line, combined with coming through the little sandbar, over the little sandbar that's just down there, followed by a gully. So when you're using grip leads particularly, that can feel like dragging on the bottom, making it feel heavy, even though there's no fish on there. But it looks like something might have had a munch on one of the worms. Yeah, it looks like somebody's had a go at the bottom hook, so maybe I did have that little tap. Anyway, I'll get some fresh baits on there, get it chucked back out. Well, the sun have just gone in, sort of in, it's half in, half out. There was blue sky to my right, big black clouds to my left, and guess where the weather's coming from? The left. I'll spin you around so you can take a look what's coming my way in a second. What I'm going to do is go and put my camera back in the shelter and put my coat on for when that hits. If I catch anything while this rain's coming through, I'll bring it back up to the shelter and show you on the camera, but I'm going to make sure I keep that out of the rain rather than keep it down here on the beach with me while I'm fishing, because I don't want to destroy the kit. But yeah, let's take a look at these black clouds. That does not look pleasant, and it is heading this way. So I'm going to go and chuck you back in the shelter, and I'm going to stay out here fishing in the elements. Anyway, maybe this will bring me a fish. You've got to get, you know, effort equals reward, right? I'm sure that works when you're fishing. Okay, maybe not. But anyway, let's get you out the rain before it gets here. Well, the rain has passed, I've just had a look at the forecast and it's only a small chance of rain from now on, maybe 20% for each hour that passes while I'm planning to fish. As you can probably tell, it's still blowing a hoolie, and that's going to carry on all day and probably get stronger if I'm honest. But the baits are out, they've been out a little while. It's time to check them, see if we got anything. So I'm going to reel in first the sole rig and we'll have a look at that. All right, let's get these baits checked. It's not out very far. I lobbed this one about maybe 40 yards, if that. Well, the tide's come in a little bit since then, so maybe even 45 yards out. God, it's well gripped. That's it, it's moving. I've already got some baits ready to go on my bait needle, so I can get it changed over quick when it comes in, so we can get it straight back out. Normally I'd have a spare rig ready, but all the while I'm standing down here exposed in this wind. I'm just going to rebait when I reel in. It's a little bit slower, but it's a little bit simpler. I've got a bit of weed coming up there, collecting on the top eye. Here comes the leader knot. That cleaned off. Ah, no fish. Doesn't look like any sign of any fish either. Yeah, untouched baits. Look at that. Nothing's had a go at those. They're all the same. So we get some fresh baits put on and whack it back out. Well, I was just reeling in my bass rod and I have a fish and it's not one I want. I'm just going to walk down so I don't drag it up the beach, and then we'll take a look at what we have. Just get that weed off my leader knot. So it's not even the leader knot, that's just on the line. More weed. Right. Keep picking all this off. I don't want to cause myself to get a birdie. So what do we have? We have an absolutely destroyed rig. Look at it. It's a silver eel. Anyway, I'll get this guy untangled. I don't even know which hook it's taken, but it's made an absolute mess of that rig. I'm going to have to see what other rigs I've got with me that might be suitable for targeting the bass. But I will save this chap and get it back. Ah, pesky, pesky eel. So there he is, unharmed, but well, relatively ready to go back in the sea. So let's chuck this one and get back and get him swimming off. Hate them. So my bass rig is now in about 10 bits, but it's absolutely minging. So much eel slime on that. Even if I'd managed to get the eel off without cutting the rig up, I still would have had to chuck the rig away, because that eel slime smells and it's a predatory fish and we don't want to put other fish off. But anyway, I'm going to go and have a hunt through my rigs, see what we've got to replace this one with. Well, after Eelgate, which of course does beat a blank at least, I found another rig pretty much identical to the one I was using, and I've loaded that with 2 black lug at the bottom and a bunch of rag on the top hook. I'm not going to flick this one out as far. There's a little bit of weed appearing now, a little bit more than there was earlier. Not bad, but just a little bit, enough to be annoying. So I'm going to stick this one out maybe 50 yards. So I'm not too worried about the tails on these worms flying off, because I'm only going to gently flick it. Anyway, I'm going to get the baits back out because it took me a little while to recover from Eelgate. And I want to get back on fishing. So let's see if we can get another fish. Ideally not one covered in slime. So let's get these baits whacked back out. I say whacked, 50 yards is what we were going for. Just tightened my mags up a couple of clicks. I don't need to put my thummy back on because I'm only flicking it. No chance of the spool slipping on a cast like this. There we go. Pretty much exactly where I wanted it. No tails flew off in the cast, so all is good. It'd be nice if the wind was a little bit less though. But then we wouldn't have this chop, would we? I just don't want another pesty eel, because I haven't got another bass type rig with me. Not any other rigs with one hose on anyway. Straighten my eyes up there, a little bit out of line, that's better. Anyway, we are back in the water. Well guys, that rig, the rig I've just reeled in on my bass rig, the bass rig I've just reeled in is absolutely untouched baits. Look at that. That was the 2 lugworm that we saw go out just now. And the ragworm that I put 3 on the hook, all still intact. Even with the tails there as well. So, you know, absolutely zero interest whatsoever in that, which isn't a good sign. It is now coming up for 2:30, so I've been fishing for 2.5 hours and we've had just that one pesky eel. Anyway, obviously I need to try harder and see if I can pick something up, but I'm not really sure what else I can do at the moment. Later on I've got a 1 hook rig that I'm going to stick out a massive rag bait on to see if we can pick up a hound on that. But for now, I'm going to persist with these tactics for a little bit longer and see if anything changes now the tide's coming in. Something's got to change at some point. Well, 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 look what we have. Ooh, another one of my favourites, an eel. Let's get this chap unhooked and I'll chuck it back. This one hasn't destroyed my rig, but I will replace the snood and the hook just to be sure we haven't got any contamination on the line. Anyway, let's get this chap sorted out. 2 eels, woohoo! So there we go, all unhooked, ready to go back. Slimy little critter. Oh, I'll just put that eel back. I've got stones in my shoe. I've got slime on my fingers. So let's give them a wipe. I've only got 1 rod out at the minute, because just before I reeled that eel in, I boiled some water in the old jet boil and I made myself some Huel. So this should be ready now. Today we have spaghetti carbonara. There we go. I'm sure it's delicious. I'd rather be having a sandwich, but this is what I had today. I didn't have any bread at home to make a sandwich with. So, look at that. Spaghetti carbonara all the way. At least it's hot. It's nice to have some hot food. And I'm going to get this enjoyed before I get that other rod chucked back out. Anyway, 2 eels. What more could I want? I know. A sole and a bass. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Cheers. Well, well, well. I was just tucking into my lovely warm Huel and I had a pull down on this rod. It's only done it once, but I'm going to check it and see if I can feel anything on the end. If not, I'm going to pop it back down so I can eat my lunch while it's still hot. Yeah, it feels like the grip lead shifted. Doesn't feel like there's anything on here though. But something definitely had a pull down on that. And yeah, it's not gripped at all. Oh well, now I'm reeling it in anyway, I might as well carry on. But evidence of fish out there now. We'll have a look at the bait when I've reeled it back in. Cool, that wind is whistling. You probably noticed I took my cap off because I was worried it was going to blow away. Bit of crap on the line. Pick that off. Let's have a look at the bait. So I had 4 rag on the top hook and a couple of lug on the bottom. Well, something's had a go at the lug. Let's have a look at that. Not a major go at it, but something has had a go at it. Something's just taken a bite out there and pulled it off the hook a bit. It's held on with bait elastic, but it looks like something's had a go. So anyway, I'm going to eat my lunch and then I'll cast back out. Nothing like taking a break when you're out fishing, eh? So, I've got out my 3rd rig for the day, and it's a running rig. It's got about a 20-inch rig body here and a 3-foot snood, so we'll take a closer look. At the top of the rig, I have my size 1 swivel, and then a casting snap with a rig, with a clip, On the big rig body there, we have a bead, followed by a pulley bead, and then another bead. And then have another size 1 swivel, that's a 60-pound Zen rig body. And I've got a 42-pound blackout snood. That's 3 feet long, going down to, that's a 5/0 short shank bait hook. And onto here, I'm gonna load 5 ragworm that I've got on the needle. And the hope is this might pick us up a hound. I was told there was some caught down here yesterday, and as I mentioned, I don't have any peelers, but I got this lovely fresh rag, and hounds are partial to a bit of rag. So let's see how we get on with this. The sun has come out, the sky is blue, the rain has cleared, but it's still blowing a hoolie. So there we go. We've got all these juicy baits clipped up. Look at that, ready to launch, using a splashdown at the bottom of the rig. And there's those 5 ragworm we saw on the baiting needle that I've loaded onto the hook. It's all clipped up and we're good to go. Well, well, well. We got a bite. We got a bite. Or is it weed? Maybe it's a lump of weed. Oh, I got my excitement up. What a lovely weed bite, everybody. Oh well, that hadn't been out long. I'll reel it in, check the baits. If they're all right, it can go straight back out. But yeah, look at that. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera. That lump of weed was just down there in the surf, giving me a bite. There we go, clear it off the rod tip. And we have a bit of weed on the lead as well. Oh, and the leader knot, I'll get that off. I'll check the baits just to be sure it was the weed. Yeah, the baits are all absolutely fine. Oh, that got my adrenaline going though. Right, let's get the baits back out. I'm only plopping this rig close in. Be why that weed was caught in the surf there. But a very gentle little flick this is going to be. There we go. That's about 40 yards out. I know there's a gully about there, that's why I'm flicking it there with this little scratching rig, hoping to pick something up that's not a slimy, horrible eel. Well, I thought it was time for a bit of a status update. It's 4 o'clock, so I've been fishing for 4 hours, and so far all we've had is those 2 pesky eels. I was really hoping for something a bit more, especially with that nice chop and surf we had running over low water, but there wasn't any bass to be seen, not yet anyway. And I've just had a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow when I was planning to go fishing again, and it's now saying we're going to expect winds up to 40 miles an hour. So I've changed my plans. I'm going to save the rag I've got left, because I can't use it tomorrow now, and I can't use my lug. My lug was going to be on its last day tomorrow, so I've got to focus on using that up, save the rag for when the wind dies down, because I can keep those alive in my fridge at home, and then I can get out in a few days when that wind has dissipated, and we'll see how it goes from there. But today, we've still got a couple of hours, assuming I can make my lug stretch that long, and hopefully we'll still be able to pick up a fish. But anyway, I'll keep fishing and keep trying. So I've just reeled in a load more weed, and this bit has some eggs on there. If anyone knows what kind of eggs they are, I'd love to know, drop us a comment. Anyway, I'm going to go and chuck these back in the sea. Well, I don't know if you can make out the bend on my right hand rod there. That is just weed on the line. So I'm going to pull that one in a second, but the closer we get to high tide, the more the weed is becoming a pain in the arse, if I can say that. Pain in the butt. So let's get this one in. I've got a spare rig baited up, ready to go. I've been shaking a lot of weed off the line, picking it off the rod tip as it blows up. But yeah, it's getting pretty horrid. Hopefully some of this weed will come off while I'm reeling it in. I've certainly fished in a lot worse than this, but it's not a lot of fun when you're having to reel in quite often because of the amount of weed on your line. I'll shake it off. That don't want to come. Weed, the devil weed. Some bits are blowing off before it gets up to my rod tip. Oh, there's the leading up. Quite a bit of crud coming on that. So I'll just get that picked off. I think most of this weed is sort of floating on the surface. There's quite a lot of it down my rod rings. But yeah, we'll see. I might give it just another half an hour. It's, what is it now? 4:30. So I was going to fish till 6, but quite frankly, the fishing isn't on fire. There's weed in the water. A wise person once said to me, Malcolm, where there's weed, there's fish. But you know, it's Friday night. For me, that means it's curry night. There's a lovely curry waiting for me at home that I get delivered every week with a tiffin tin service, which is great for the planet because there's no plastic packaging. Anyway, let's go and get my sole rig, and I'll unclip this one, chuck that one on to send it out. So here we go, little tiny lug baits, all ready to go. Just hang that up on the tripod. Plenty of weed on my line, look at that. It's chucking it off the rig and it's landing on my leader. Right, all the bits on my rod seems to have blown off, so that's good. So I haven't got to worry about picking that clean. But there we go. So I'll probably make these my last chucks, pack up about 5. I can already see that other rod's pulling down there, presumably with weed. I can just see that. I can't quite see where that's entering the water, so I'll keep an eye on that in a minute. But for now, I'm going to get these baits chucked out. We're just going to give them a gentle flick from here. Hopefully I won't hit the camera as I cast out. I'll just do a nice little overhead flick. There we go. Fairly close in, but that's what I've been doing with that rig, fishing in that gully I know is just there. Now what's going on with that other one? Either this is weed or a fish. To state the obvious. I think I might have a monster bit of weed. Let's see, it might be a fish. I can see a very large bit of weed floating out at the sea, roughly where my line is. And there's certainly some weight on the end here. It's a very dead weight. And it looks like a big monster bit of weed coming in my direction, just in the surf now. So as I feared, the monster from the deep is a lovely big bit of weed. Let's take a look at this bad boy then. There we go. That is not fun. I don't think I'll chuck this one back out. It's getting worse by the minute. I'll sort this out, pack that rod away, call it my last chuck on the other one. And you never know, there's still a chance of a fish, so I'll keep trying. Keep watching that rod while I'm sorting this one out and get these couple of rigs packed away that I'm not using anymore. And there's still time for another fish. Well guys, I just looked round while I was tidying up my rigs and noticed I had a load of slack line. And it's not weed, it is a fish. The biggest one so far. Let's take a look at this one. Certainly no monster, but the biggest strap of the day, little conger. This bay normally is infested with silver eels like the one we had first, but then we've had these congers come in. So I'll get this chap unhooked and get him chucked back. It's the day of the eel. So here he is, the slimy, horrible eel. Gonna have to give this rag a nice wash, aren't I, when I get home? Let's have a better look at him. Oh, don't you bite me. There we go. Mr. Eel, ready to go back. Oh, the eels, it's the Eel Bay. I swear Pevensey Bay should be renamed Eel Bay. Anyway, I'll go and chuck him back. So let's get him sent back from where he came. There we go. Swam straight off. We have 3 eels. What can I say? I came down wanting sole and bass, and we ended up with 3 eels. Well guys, that session definitely didn't go as planned. Bass, soles, the targets, possibly a hound, because I've heard they've been caught here, and all I managed was a silver eel and a couple of congers. That's just the way it goes sometimes, but it wasn't a blank, and it was nice to get that slack line bite on the last cast, so I'm not going to complain. The weed is here in force. It is now nearly 5 o'clock, so it's time for me to get packed up slowly, because I don't want to be stuck in rush hour too much, and then head off back home. So if you've liked the video, love it if you can click like, consider subscribing, and that's it till next time guys.